Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Armstrong with you, back again for another episode of Tuesday Tips. If you're finding the videos helpful and you like the topics that are being discussed during Tuesday Tips or Conversations with Dr. Armstrong, please like and subscribe to the videos. This afternoon, we are going to get into the subject of the impact of racism on mental health. The impact of racism on mental health. We see every so often these resurgence of race and the impact that it has on the communities of people of color, and not only the communities but the culture. It does one of two things. It can either bring people together, or it can either tear people apart. And unfortunately, we see whereas the media, social media as well, in this day and age, there's such an open platform that people can express their feelings, and there's not much that can be hidden. You know, some people in some of the old days, I used to hear my grandfather say it, yeah, you could tell that person over there is this kind of way. And it came out to be true, because it was in their nature, in their character. On the flip side of that, when we look at the impact of racism on mental health, there are certain things in mental health that has now become culturally evident. And one of the most major aspects of this cultural evidence is the increased mode to survive, survival mode. Understand this. People of color, black people, African Americans, whichever term you used to use, were an oppressed people, people who were not even considered a whole human being during slavery. 3/5 of a person, cattle, livestock, was considered to be more of a value than a slave, a human being. I want that to sink in. Animals, in some instances, were treated better than human beings. So in the black culture, this increased mode to survive, it developed in especially black men. It developed in black women who their husbands and their fathers and their brothers had been taken away. So therefore, there's this increased mode. We have to survive. That's even more evident today than it was 400 years ago. Simply because now it's not so much of the survival mode to mode of survival to protect yourself from the slave master. It's to protect yourself from those who took a vow to protect you. So we find here that psychology at one point in time said that the African American was not capable of survival, that the African American needed guidance, in everything that they did. That stemmed from that old slave mentality, slave master mentality. You know, I'm a professor of African American theology, and I read a lot of sound historical facts. How the slave master would take the Bible, let's say for instance the 23rd Psalm. They would take the 23rd Psalm and read it to the slaves, and where it says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," they manipulated those slaves into believing that they were the shepherd, the slave master, and that they provided everything that they needed, and that they should not have to want for anything. Me, the slave master, I have provided everything you need. I'm your shepherd. You shall not want. So many other biblical instances where the Bible itself was manipulated to control the slave population. So psychology at that day and age said, hey, they're not capable of thinking for themselves. Now, let's fast forward. When we look at the impact here, one other circumstance really stands out: the feeling of powerlessness, where you feel helpless, hopeless, no power, in spite of all the things that you do right on the job. Somebody else will get the promotion. In school, someone got the better grade. In sports, someone was judged better than you, or someone scores better than you, or someone gets more of the highlights over you. We still end up with this horrific outcome. Now, me, in the field of mental health as a therapist, yes, I'm very good at what I do, but you know what? Someone else out there, and I've seen this happen, has gotten more credit than me for some of the plans that I put in place. Now, I'm strong enough to not let that bother me, but I'm also wise enough to know that it's because of the color of my skin. But I know how to control myself, and that's why I am so engaged with helping black men today learn how to control that anger and harness that emotional power to your own successful will, because it can be done. Another point I want to point out is the existential question: how can the world be so cruel? What has changed in 400 years? We still live in a world and society where people hate people. But you can counteract that by loving one another. I'm a peaceful person. I do have a little bit of militant in me, yes, because I don't believe in being a doormat. Nobody should be a doormat. But you have to learn how to love. And you have to learn how to understand that everybody's not going to think like you. Everybody's not going to have the same compassion as you. You got to get to the root of where some of these people come from, and their root is based and dug in hatred. But the impact, the impact is this: trauma on so many levels. The increase of depression and anxiety. The trust level has decreased. All of these things is what is impacted in us. Now, pretty soon I'm going to put together a forum and where we can all come together and talk about race and mental health. But what I can do right now is admonish, encourage, and support any person of color. I beg of you, if you're struggling with anything as far as race and mental health, please seek out professional help. We are here. We are standing by. We are ready to assist you in any way that we can. Price, don't worry about price. Yes, this is our livelihood, but many clinicians now are trying to help people of color or any person during this pandemic to get the help that they need. Reach out to us. I put a post on Instagram that made a lot of sense and I got a lot of feedback from it. And that post was, boundaries can protect you. Walls can imprison you. There's a difference. Healthy boundaries create an atmosphere where you can be yourself. Walls imprison you where you cannot let out your emotions. Tear down the walls. Let's set some boundaries, okay, folks? So again, I look forward to talking more on this topic. I may do something on Friday, depending how my workload is. But for the meantime, please, please, please reach out for help. Help is here. All right? Thank you, folks. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care.